Hey everybody, Ace Trainer Liam here and welcome to another Q&A video where I answer questions from my awesome viewers, you guys. Oh, and before we start, let's just get this out the way. Yes, very funny, my green arm disappears when I'm on green screen. It doesn't bother me, it shouldn't bother you because it's a freaking arm, get over it. And it looks kind of cool that I can change the colour of my arm at will now. But anyway, on to your questions. Why isn't Sceptile in this video? That's your question. First of all, love your videos. Thank you very much. Do you have a favourite animal and why? My favourite animal is the giraffe. I think it's adorable. I like how long and elegant their legs and their necks are, and I just think they're beautiful creatures. And whenever I go to the zoo, I have to go to a zoo that has giraffes in, because otherwise it's a wasted journey. Freaking love giraffes. They are adorable. What are your thoughts on the move Brine? I like Brine. Brine's a good move. It's an effective move, although a little bit overpowered when you think about it. For those who don't know, Brine is a water type move that has a base power of 65. Obviously that increases significantly when you add stab to that. But the key thing with Brine is if your opponent has less than 50% of its maximum HP, Brine's power is doubled to 130, which is freaking incredible. So yeah, I do like Brine. I think it's a fantastic move. I just do worry that it's a little bit OP, which is why I'm kind of glad that it's not available as a TM anymore. I grew up playing Pokemon Diamond, and I was wondering what your favourite Sinnoh Pokemon is. Anyway, I love your videos and keep up the great work. Oh, thank you very much. Now then, favourite Sinnoh Pokemon, I'm probably leaning towards Garchomp or Empoleon, just because I think they're both really, really cool. Are you religious? And if so, what religion? I think you're a really sweet guy and I'm glad I found your channel. Well, thank you. In terms of religion, I don't follow any religion at all. And I don't want to offend anybody that is religious or has religious beliefs, because it's a free world. You can believe whatever the hell you want to believe. And I can believe whatever the hell I want to believe. And that's the beauty of being individuals. For me, in terms of religion, I've just never experienced anything that has made me think, yeah, there's definitely some kind of God. And I'm very skeptical of books without authors that were written thousands of years ago. Like, I don't know, I mean, obviously, if you really believe in Christianity, then obviously the Bible is going to mean a lot to you, so I don't want to offend you. Similarly, if you follow Islam, the Quran's going to mean a lot to you. But to me, if someone puts a piece of paper in front of me and says, everything in this piece of paper is true, what is it about that that should make me believe it, apart from everyone else telling me that it was written about God? Like, anyone could have written it, and it could be a piece of fiction for all we know. You know, we don't know the author of the book, so it's kind of like, I don't know, I've just never experienced anything that has solidly made me believe that there may be a God. And I'm quite comfortable with the fact that when I die, it's just lights out, turn to dust, no problem. But again, if you are religious and you're a fan of my channel, I do not judge you for being religious. I think you can believe whatever you want to believe, and it makes me happy that you believe what you want to believe and not what I tell you to believe or not what anyone else tells you to believe. If you believe in God, believe in God. If you believe in Allah, who is kind of God, isn't he? I don't really know. Believe in Allah. If you believe that freaking 3,000 cats came together to form a bond that created the universe and the Big Bang and everything, then you believe that 30,000 cats did. Did I say 30,000 or 3,000? Whatever, it's your belief, you tell me. Just whatever you want to believe, don't let anyone stop you from believing what you feel is right. Because when it all comes down to it, when the world ends, or when I die, or when you die, that's when we're going to find out what happens in the afterlife. And I could be wrong, you could be wrong. We'll find out. Tea or coffee? Don't you dare ask me that question again. It will always be tea. Coffee, get out. Not interested. Don't do that to me. Tea, always. Tea. Tea. Do you like to see some R13, R8... Oh, would I like to see some rated 13 or rated 18 Pokemon game or anime with a different protagonist? Something like dangerous and brutal hardcore theme. I'm kind of new here on your channel, and man, you're doing great. Honest and energetic. Thumbs up, keep it up. Well, thank you very much for your kind words. I really do appreciate that. As for your question, you're asking if basically I'd like to see more kind of mature Pokemon content, or Pokemon content aimed at an older audience. And actually, even though sometimes when I watch the anime and sometimes when I play the games, I think, oh, This is so freaking childish the way they've portrayed this. I also think that's a good thing. I think it would be very detrimental to Pokemon for them to bring out something that is like either adult rated or kind of teenage rated, because it would ruin the essence of what Pokemon is about. Pokemon is about kind of happiness and energy and vibrance, and I think if you go a bit too dark, like I know the manga has some quite dark corners in it, and you know, Pokemon get killed and things like that, but for me, I'd prefer it if in the mainstream Pokemon stuff there wasn't any kind of over violence, like no blood, no overly sexual references, because I don't think that's what Pokemon should be about. I really think in its purest form, Pokemon is better when it is more child oriented, because it just makes the whole experience more pleasant. If you kind of over mature it, you're gonna lose what makes Pokemon such a pure and fun thing, and it's gonna be too much like every other game ever, or every other TV show or manga ever. And also, the children that watch the Pokemon anime, they're going to end up watching these mature, you know, more violent Pokemon ideas that you're thinking of, because their parents don't know any better. The parents will see it and be like, oh, it's Pokemon, but he always plays Pokemon. So what if it's 13 or 18 rated? You know, he plays Pokemon already. All his friends play Pokemon, let's get him this. And then the kids are being exposed to something that they shouldn't be exposed to. So I think in terms of protecting children, you should really keep Pokemon as a PG at least rating. What's the next randomizer you'll do? I've been doing the same challenge as yours while pissing myself listening to you in the background. P.S. Couldn't stop laughing when I saw the Bellatrix t-shirt, Rock Tomb's everything. Well, good segue, first of all, because yes, Bellatrix t-shirts are available. Plenty of t-shirts are available, drawstring bags, pillows, freaking stickers, everything. Head over to my Redbubble shop in the description below and you can check out all kinds of Ace Trainer Liam merch. I'd really appreciate you checking it out. Maybe even clicking buy on a couple of things, or just one, you know. I appreciate people can't afford everything. As for your question, if you are struggling with incontinence during my videos, I do suggest you see a doctor. That could be a problem. No, not really. I know that you mean that you were laughing quite a lot. I was a bit torn on what idea to do, but I have decided that my next randomizer, I'm going to play one of the Gen 5 sequels, going to randomize it again, but I'm going to play it as a Rocket Lock, much like when Dookie Shed did his Rocket Lock. I did kind of try and ask Dookie Shed if he was okay with me doing it, but I didn't get any response, which I'm going to take as it doesn't bother him. He's not even bothered enough to reply, so it's cool. So I'm going to be playing kind of as a Team Rocket Grunt, so should be fun, but I've got to finish Soul Silver first. That's important to me, to finish it. I've got to beat Red. Liam! Okay, my question is, who is your favourite rival and favourite character to play in the games? Mine is definitely N. I know you don't really care for him, but I like him. And for the fifth gen female character. Love your videos, by the way. But thanks very much, Peyton. I'm glad you love the channel. As for you liking N, as I say to everybody, you do you. Do what makes you happy. If you like N, that's okay. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going to judge you for it. As for my favourite rival is Blue. I just love the way he's brash and arrogant all the way through, and all he ever wants to do is be one step ahead of you, no matter what. Even when he loses to you, he can still insult you. It's brilliant. As for my favourite character to play as, I mean, all the characters that you play as in the games, you know, being silent and not really very emotive, it's difficult to differentiate between them, really. So I would say my favourite is Red, purely because he's the only character that I can think of that we play as that we later can then fight in another game, which I kind of like that about Red. It adds a bit more to his character. You know, he's kind of a legendary Pokemon trainer. Do you think that people in other countries watch your channel, excluding the USA? Because they do. I'm from Brazil. Yeah, I'm pretty aware of a lot of people in other countries other than the USA and the UK that watch my videos. I've got people from Holland, like QDude24. I've got people from Brazil, like yourself. I've got people from Germany and Portugal and freaking all over the world. And I love each and every one of you equally. Doesn't matter where you're from in the world, if you're a fan of my channel, you're a friend of mine. True that. Should I get a tattoo of a Jigglypuff? That's not a question for me to answer. That's a question you've got to ask yourself. The only advice I can give you about tattoos, because I can't tell you what tattoos to get, I can't tell you what tattoos not to get, just like nobody else can tell me what to get and what not to get. My only advice I can give you is if you are 99% sure that you want to get a Jigglypuff tattoo, don't get it. Do not get it if you are any less than 100% sure you want a tattoo. Don't put it on your skin because it's there for life. You should only get yourself tattooed if you are 100% sure that for the rest of your life you're going to be happy with that tattoo. If you're any less than that, 99.99% sure is not good enough. You've got to be 100% sure. But if you do get a Jigglypuff tattoo, I want to see a picture of it. You like water types, but what water type Pokemon do you loathe, or at least like less? Basculin. What's the point? We have Magikarp, we have Feebas, we have Finneon and Lumineon, we have Goldeen and Seaking. We have no need for Basculin. It's just another fish. And we've even got Carvana as a piranha Pokemon. Basculin's just a waste of time. That was somebody in the Pokemon design team going, shit, I really need to design a Pokemon because I've not designed one for a few days and I'm going to get in trouble or fired if I don't design one. I know! A fish! Nobody will argue if I make a fish Pokemon. We automatically know it's going to be a water type. This is easy. And I'll just give it frickin' water gun and bubble and all this. Basculin, waste of time. Hate it. Pointless. Which of these would you rather? 1, have a Poliwhirl in real life but have barely any money. Or 2, have a Greninja and be a multimillionaire. I'll take option 2. I don't like Greninja, as people know. It just looks horrible. I don't like the way the Pokemon looks. But if I was a multimillionaire, I could afford to have a house built on the other side of the world where I wouldn't even have to see Greninja ever again. So I could totally send it into hiding or exile it from my entire life, and then I'd still be a multimillionaire. At which point we can use a bit of Greninja's DNA and see if we can't start working on making a Poliwhirl. Sounds like a good plan, right? Does your girlfriend like Pokemon, and are you jealous of Unlisted Leaf's giant Pikachu plush? Well, the first part of your question, yes, my fiance Ellie does like Pokemon. She doesn't like it quite as obsessively as I do, but she certainly likes it and enjoys the games. As for the second half of your question, I haven't seen Unlisted Leaf's giant Pikachu plush, but at the same time, I don't have time to waste being jealous of other people. There's no point. And it's the same to anybody out there. If you have the time to be jealous of someone else, to envy what they have, then you're wasting your time because you could be going out and working towards achieving what they have. So don't worry about it. Just don't bother being jealous. There's no point. Hey Liam, I recently discovered your channel and instantly subscribed. You have definitely one of the most entertaining Pokemon related channels I've seen, and considering the huge amount of those on YouTube there are, that's something to be proud of. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I always try and stay humble because it's really humbling to know that you're all enjoying what I'm doing. You know, it would be easy for a lot of people to get a swollen head, but, you know, I'm just scratching the surface at the moment. I've got a long way to go. I do have a question though. I've noticed you don't normally talk much about fire types. How do you feel about them? I'm just curious as to what your opinion on them is in general. Well, I don't have a problem with fire types. I like quite a few fire types. There are quite a few fire type Pokemon that I do like, and I am planning to do a top 10 fire types at some point, in line with all the rest of the type videos that I've done. It's just coincidence that I don't talk about them a lot, because I really don't have any problem with them. If you could decide whether to be a Sorak or a Vaporeon, what would you choose? Sorry, totally random question. It's not a totally random question. There are a lot worse questions you could have asked. But the easy answer to this one is a Vaporeon, because it's way cuter than Sorak, and Ellie would love me even more if I was one of those. I wouldn't give you words of encouragement, because when you have depression, words of encouragement don't generally mean anything to you, because when you're suffering depression, it's so easy for someone to say, you can do it, you can fight through it, I know you're strong, you can do whatever you put your mind to, and literally it hits your ears and bounces straight off them, because it's like, ugh, yeah, you're just telling me that because you want me to not be depressed. So words of encouragement are pointless. The advice I can give you is with you say you're a YouTuber, with your YouTube channel, don't let it bother you if your videos don't get a lot of views, because your time will come. You know, I spent 6, 7, 8 months on YouTube barely getting any views, barely getting any subscribers, and if I would have let that get to me and not just carried on enjoying the creative process and the editing process and the uploading process and the little bits of feedback I was getting, then I'd have gone insane. I'd have absolutely hated everything about it. But I just kept going, I kept grinding, and now I'm in a happy place where I've got freaking a good bunch of subscribers. I'd love for that subscriber count to grow, but obviously I'm not dwelling on it because, again, it's not worth dwelling on. If it's going to make you unhappy doing your YouTube content, then you shouldn't be doing it. In terms of depression in any other area of your life, I would say the only advice I can give you is talk to people about it. Even though people always tell me all the time that they don't have anyone they can talk to, and that's just strictly not true. Everybody has at least one friend and at least one family member somewhere. Talk to them, because the only reason you haven't already talked to them about your problems is because you're worried about what they're going to think of you. You're thinking that they're going to think you're pathetic or less of a person for being depressed. But being depressed is a natural part of being human. So just talk to someone that is close to you. They will understand and they'll be able to help you through it. That's the only thing you can do, is talk to people. If you keep it bottled up, you're going to be depressed forever. That's my take on it. How do you like the new forms of Zygarde? What do you think of the 100% or complete form? With the Zygarde forms, it's a case of I just don't care enough about Zygarde. I think they left it too late to release anything related to Zygarde, personally, because they gave no story to it and just stuck it in a cave in X and Y. And let's bear in mind, it isn't freaking 2013 anymore. Nobody gives a shit. And then they bring out these new forms of Zygarde. Yeah, it was a little bit of a buzz because we like new Pokemon, but then it's like, oh, it's just Zygarde. Oh, okay, guess we're getting a movie about him. Maybe we'll get a game about it. And it's really kind of, I don't know, it was kind of lackluster for me. And the 100% or complete form just looks like any other legendary Pokemon. Like, obviously it doesn't look the same as any other legendary Pokemon, but it's a giant hulking beast of a Pokemon, and it's like, oh look, another legendary, wow, or another form of a legendary. I don't know, I'm just not that interested with it. The novelty is kind of worn off. I ask you for a third time, who's your favourite Pokemon from each generation and why? By the way, I love your videos so much, I subscribed right after you hit 500. I also love your accent, British and Australian accents, just listening to them is a guilty pleasure of mine. Well, thank you very much for your kind words, Joseph, and thank you very much for sticking with me since 500. That's amazing. That's so cool that you've been with us for this long. Also, apologies that I obviously clearly missed your question a couple of times. That wasn't intentional, and I do apologise for that. As for my favourite Pokemon from each generation, I would say Gen 1 Poliwhirl, Gen 2 Ferret, Gen 3 Grumpig, Gen 4 Garchomp, Gen 5 Chandelure, and Gen 6 Frogadier. But my reasoning is purely because they were the first Pokemon that came into my mind, so they must be Pokemon that are quite relevant to me, personally, I think. Are you going to play Pokemon Go? If you don't know what it is, go and watch the trailer on YouTube. Okay, everyone knows what Pokemon Go is. If they don't, like you've said, there are trailers on YouTube, but freaking Pokemon Go has been shoved down our throats when it was first announced. For me, I'm gonna get it. If it's a free app, I will get it. Like, if it's like Pokemon Shuffle and like Pokemon Rumble, I'll get it, because who doesn't, you know, who says no to a free lunch? But depending on how good it is, I can't say at this point whether I'm gonna play it a lot or whether I'm not gonna play it a lot, because yeah, the trailer looked great, but the trailer could also be very misleading, and that's why I'm waiting for more info to really do much of a video about it. So I will play Pokemon Go, but I don't know yet if it's going to be something I play for a long time. Time will tell. Well, that'll wrap it up for this month's Q&A. I'm going to do one more Q&A this year at the start of December. That's going to be a special Q&A because Ellie's going to be with me. So feel free to ask her any questions, to ask me any questions, to ask us questions as a couple, or to ask us any Christmas-based questions, because at that point it will be nearly Christmas. Just a word of advice though, please don't post like 4 questions in one big block, because I tend to not pick those comments because they just take up so much space on the screen. So if you're going to do multiple questions, just leave multiple comments, feel free. As for Q&As in 2016, I'm not going to do them quite as regularly just because it seems to take a while for enough questions to build up. So you may find that I only do a Q&A when enough questions have been asked on the previous Q&A, rather than doing one every month. Because a month, we did say we were going to trial it, and once a month seems a little bit excessive because you guys can't build up enough questions quick enough in the space of a month. So we're just going to do Q&As as we get enough questions each time. So thank you very much for watching if you've watched this far. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another video from me. I upload them every single day. Thank you to the near 20,000 people that subscribed. I love you guys so much. You're all freaking awesome. And I can't wait to just keep making more and more and more and more content for you guys, because making content for you guys makes me happy. And it helps me so much emotionally and internally that I'm never going to stop doing this because it's so much fun. But until next time, I'm Ace Trinillium. Keep on training.